Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Let's get back to Iraq. So I've been trying to figure out a way to lay out in detail the situation that's going on politically in Iraq. Try to explain the different factions that's within the government and who's on whose side and what their hurdles are. So I took a little trip in my time machine and I found an article that lays it out in pretty good detail. It isn't supposed to come out till tomorrow, but I'm going to go ahead and show you it today. But before we get started, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and you know I surely appreciate it. Right now is a good time to buy the shine. We know there is a squeeze going on with both gold and silver. Actually, precious metals altogether, there's issues going on. Nickel's running a little short because they did a deal over there in Russia. With the refineries closed, there's going to be a shortage on supplies of nickel and, of course, gold. Not to mention, Russia is putting us into the gold standard. So you would be well protected against inflation, a bail-in, a market crisis, if you're holding on to gold and silver. So when you go to buy your gold and silver, or any other precious metal for that matter, go to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link is down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will get a free ½ ounce of silver. So at the current moment, Iraq is dealing with a constitutional crisis. This isn't the first time. Iraq has a constitution. It's something that they really should honor and follow closely. It obviously has laws that are laid out for a specific reason. The problem with Iraq, it really don't matter to them. They've violated their constitutional laws many of times. And another perfect example of that, of course, is the election. There was supposed to have already been a president nominated and elected, as well as a prime minister and a government being formed. They still have not chosen a president. So one of the things the Constitution says they have the right to do is dissolve the parliament. This article is written by a political researcher, and he's going to explain why dissolving the parliament is going to make matters worse instead of better, and nothing is going to change. Says political researcher, dissolving the parliament and holding new elections will increase problems and will not solve them. A political researcher confirmed that dissolving the parliament and heading towards holding new parliamentary elections will increase and complicate problems, as well as bring new problems into the country, and will not be the factor in solving the current problems. In the event the new parliamentary elections are held, the results will not be much different from the previous elections, and only it is expected that the fortunes of independent representatives would decline due to many considerations related to some of the events that took place within their parties and undermine the public's confidence in them. And therefore, the current political equation will not change in any way influential. Pointing out that the new election will only be a waste of money and a waste of time, as well as the same scenario will be repeated by rejecting the election results, challenging them by the losing forces, and we will enter into the same cycle. While today there is still an opportunity to form a national majority government and move forward with the political process, as this is the best solution to the current situation. There's a disclaimer. All published articles represent the opinion of the authors only. Yeah, you better fill that in there. So what happens when they get to the stalemate? Obviously, they need to tweak their constitution a little bit better and actually follow it. Right now, their government is at a stalemate. Nothing is being accomplished. I do like the fact that the caretaking government consists of Saleh as well as Al-Qademi. I thought they did a wonderful job, along with Helabasi, of getting Iraq back on track. So as far as I'm concerned, they can continue to stay there and continue down the path they were on. What do you guys think? Let me know down below. Kurdistan said, "We are committed to solving problems with the federal government according to the Constitution. Advisor to the president of Kurdistan, Mustafa, confirmed on Wednesday the Kurdistan regional adherence to solving its problems with Iraq's federal government on the basis of the constitution and through dialogue. During the breakfast banquet organized by the Kurdistan Regional Presidency for diplomats working in consults and representation of countries in the Kurdistan region, Mustafa expressed his thanks and appreciation to Kurdistan for the support and assistance of friendly countries and the international community, praising the role and impact of diplomatic representation in countries in the Kurdistan region and developing relations in areas of joint cooperation. Say that 10 times really fast after 10 beers that you drink in a half hour. It's just Mustafa affirmed that Kurdistan's regional position on solving problems with Iraqi federal government on the basis of the constitution through dialogue, hoping that it will be an opportunity for the Iraqi parties to reach a common understanding and solutions to their problems. I'm assuming he's alluding to the issues that they're having with the oil files. So that's it pretty much in the news for now, but let's go over this other article. Why won't Iraq ever elect a president? This is not going to be published till tomorrow, but I went ahead and got it for you in advance. Okay, so this article is pretty good because there are a lot of questions. At least now you should be able to see who the players are on each team. It says, will Iraq ever elect a president? Everyone is asking. Locally, regionally, internationally, many want to know. Although the job is ceremonial, apparently the political system, or in the way it has evolved, depends on the man at the apex of that pyramid being sworn in. After that, he can go about doing his job as little as possible while allowing the prime minister and the government to run the country, which is true. I always wondered about that. It seemed to me like Al-Qademi was pretty much running everything and Saleh was just kicking back. But the problem is the new president is nowhere near being elected. 3 times Iraq unicameral parliament met, and 3 times it has failed to reach a quorum of deputies. So here we go. It says the House of Representatives consists of 329 members. But each time there was voting on a new president, deputies from different political, religious, and sectarian clouts failed to meet. The deputies are playing with Iraqi politics, no doubt giving it a run of the mill. Meanwhile, supposed outgoing Prime Minister Al-Qademi continues in his job as a caretaker premier, and the case is true for Saleh, the current president. For the time being, he continues to hang on as a caretaker president till the political dust dies down, or deputies get their act together and vote, more like agree on one particular candidate. But this is not going to happen despite the fact 40 names have been put forward to be elected as the next president. Iraq clearly now faces a political crisis as the deadline for electing a candidate to top the pyramid, April the 6th, has come and gone, and theoretically Parliament must now go into recess to prepare for a general election, which is what the other article was addressing. But all the deputies continue to adopt a laid-back, lame duck approach. After all, they've been in this situation before back in 2010. It took the government 10 months to be formed, way out of the legal constitutional limits. But in Iraq, anything can happen with laws and regulations being messaged. At the heart of the crisis is the political coalition. The fight as independents in a mosaic form, along with political, religious, sectarian lines that include Shiites, who are the majority, Sunnis and Kurds, but they come hitched together according to their interests in the form of a clientele politics. Further, after 2003, when Saddam Hussein's government was toppled through U.S. war and military intervention, the political setup evolved into Shiites continuing the post of Prime Minister, Sunnis Parliament Speaker, and the post of President for the Kurds. So basically what this person is saying is the Shiite people, they vote in who the Prime Minister is, and technically speaking, that's the person who runs the country. The Sunnis get to choose the Parliament Speaker, and the Kurds get to choose the President, hence Burham Saleh, who's there now. In turn, he represents one of the two main Kurdish parties, the Political Union of Kurdistan, with the other being the Kurdistan Democratic Party. However, more complications are added. The presidential post is elected by deputies who are formed under two broad coalitions, bearing in mind that legislative election took place back in October of 2021, also controlled by a mixture of parties of religious and ideological affiliations. The Sadr's movement, led by Sadr, of course, a Shiite cleric, got the most popular votes in 73 parliamentary seats. He is joined by the Kurdistan Democratic Party and a sovereign coalition led by Parliamentary Speaker Halabasi. However, they can't get a full two-thirds quorum of 220 MPs to hold a parliamentary session and to elect a president. As opposed, there is a Shiite coordination framework which performed abysmal in the last elections, but has its own coalition that include the pro-Iran Fatah Alliance, which only got 17 seats. It had 48 in 2018 election. And then you got Maliki, a former prime minister, former head of the Dawa party, and leads the state of law coalition, and with the support of the other Sunni MPs. Under the coalition, also the Kurdish PUK, and it supports Burham Saleh as a counter candidate to the one supported by the Sadrists of Riber Ahmad of the KDP, which is interesting because Sadr seemed to support Saleh continuing as president. This article almost makes it look like they're at opposite ends. No one knows for sure what will happen. The Iraq Supreme Court may intervene again to decide, but this is for the waiting. It had already intervened once in February when it barred the nomination of Zabari, who previously served as the Iraqi finance and foreign minister. He was banned for alleged involvement in corruption going back to 2015. However, his disqualification may have started the tension ball rolling in Parliament, with the two coalitions making their stance more rigid, with MPs taking a casual approach and not turning up every time there's a session to choose the president. Meanwhile, Saleh continues to do his part, as well as Al-Qademi and the government that was already previously there. So let me give a little shout out over there to Nader in the Middle East. Nader, if you don't mind, maybe you can address this question in your next video if you have time. Do you know what is next? What should they do? According to the Constitution, the parliament should be dissolved. And I think I agree with the political researcher. I'm not sure that's going to solve any problems whatsoever. I'm of the mind that maybe you just go ahead and leave the current government in there because they did such a great job recently of getting Iraq back on track. Now, I know a lot of people are pissed at them because they devalued the Iraqi dinar, but it helped put Iraq back on the right path. Unfortunately, it has disproportionately affected the poor people, which is not a very popular movement among citizens. So I'm curious, what is the next step? What do they do? I wonder if Nader happens to know off the top of his head. This appears to be a game of chicken. Who is it that's going to turn? You have Sadr and his people going face to face with Maliki and the coordination framework. They can't just keep going on like this forever. Somebody's going to have to buckle, or somebody's going to magically end up dead, most likely, before it can move on any further. Now, if you remember when Al-Qademi was put into office, he had threatened to do some investigating, and his best friend was killed. I believe it was to send a message. So it's not beyond people to want to whack somebody in order to get the ball rolling. So I know everybody's wanting to know about the Iraqi rate change. I'm going to tell you right now, until government is formed, the budget is passed, more money is invested into the private sector, that's not going to happen. And I know that's not a popular thing to say, but over on this channel, we stay grounded. I'm not here to blow smoke up your butt. I'm here to just be realistic about this investment. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. Let me know what you think. Write your comments down below, and I'll get back at you later. I'm out.